The great Dan Miller's on the line. Let's go there. No, let's not make him wait.
Did Dan go to the auto show?
Hey, Dan.
What's up, boys? How you doing?
Man, we're having a little fun over here today.
Hey, Dan, did you go to the auto show?
Are you an auto show guy?
I have not been this year. I've been
Busy.
twice, maybe.
Basically,
Twice in 27 years.
Oh,
That's
there
good,
you go.
right?
That's very good. It's very
Yeah.
good. It's
No,
very good.
I think I've been. I can't make it sound any better than that. I've been
Yeah.
twice. I'm not a big guy
used to
for
be good.
crowds, man. I don't
It used to be
like
good.
crowds.
Right. Amen to
Yeah, I don't
that.
like parking and walking and yeah.
Right. No, we don't need any of that.
You should be
Ermanni
happy
will
you
tell
weren't
you. I
a
like
smart
sitting
kid.
on my couch.
Right.
That's
Amen.
my idea of a good day.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, you're having a good day today. We're having a good day here today, Dan, because I think we're trying to put Sunday in the past and look forward to this week. But before we do that, just how would you characterize, really, it seemed like a bloodbath on Sunday, just all the injuries and everything. But, hey, this is what teams deal with throughout the year.
Yeah, the physical part of it definitely is problematic because you're missing some key guys now, and they're going to have to reach deep into that depth. Gardner Johnson, that's obviously a big loss, but not many teams have a Tracy Walker there ready to come in, so that helps. Montgomery, depending upon what his status is, that's a big loss. He's there between the tackles guys, and somebody else is going to have to step up. Your offensive line's now taking a couple of hits with Big V and Taylor not playing last week and probably not going to play this week, so that doesn't help. Glasgow's ready to go, but you're kind of cutting into your depth there. Defensively, you've lost Houston, you've lost Pascal. Those are two guys I looked at as big pass rush guys. But Ryan, your point's a good one. Nobody cares. Nobody feels sorry for you. Just got to saddle up and go. You got to find the other guys that are ready to play. Coaches have to coach them up. Coaches have to come up with something to help you be successful because 2 down, 15 to go, and nobody's going to put the games on hold because you got hurt. And it's a game of attrition. And I don't mean to throw cliches or whatever at you, but it's a fact. You just got to go play now.
Hey, D-Mill, with the starting running back out and Dave Montgomery still trying to find a number 2 wide out, and then Taylor Decker being out, so moving Panay to the left. The offense did seem a little off, obviously so. How does Ben Johnson help this offense going against Atlanta? How does he simplify it for Jared Goff and get him back on track?
Well, I mean, I would say they scored 31.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, the problem is that you had a giveaway at your own 23. You gave it up on downs at your 45, and I'm not here to adjudicate his 4th down decisions because we could do an hour on that every week. And then you had a pick 6. So no doubt, Braylon, there's a couple of empty possessions in there. Yeah. I think this game, and let me say this, I also thought Josh Reynolds stepped up again. I think he's had a great start to the season and played well for this team. But I think that game on Sunday felt a lot like 1-6 felt last year, where they made enough mistakes that they couldn't overcome them. Did some good things offensively, but enough mistakes that they couldn't overcome them. I think the defense had some areas they could improve in, but at the same time, you could say, okay, 7 points were off a pick 6. Right. They did put the defense in a couple of significant holes there, one at the 23 again and one at the 45. So, look, in this game, there's certain things you can't do, and one of them is just beat yourself. You can't just make it easy on the other team. Make them work for it. And, there's 21 points there where they kind of didn't make them work as hard as you could. They didn't make them go the length of the field. They gave them quick turnarounds, and that just makes it difficult to win in this league. I mean, Ermanni gave me the stat from Sunday. Teams that won the turnover battle, 10-3. It's not complicated sometimes.
And if you add the Monday games, 11-3.
11-3. There you go.
No, you're absolutely correct. And I think maybe I didn't make myself more clear. I was more so talking about the next game because David Montgomery did still play in that last game. He still had 61 yards. I mean, going into this game with Jahmyr Gibbs not necessarily being the between the tackles running back, how is Ben Johnson is going to execute with that offense? That's all. My apologies.
Yeah, no, Brandon. I think we may find out a little bit more about Gibbs between the tackles in this game because you may have to. And whether it's Reynolds or Bam Knight gets the ball, we'll see. But they can't give that up. That's part of their identity. That's part of who they are. And, I mean, I know you've been around enough coaches that'll say you can't give up on the run. You have to try to get that thing going. That's what makes Goff effective. He's a heck of a play action quarterback if you look at the numbers last year and what he's able to do. So, look, Gibbs probably, I think, could be a little more decisive sometimes with the football. Sometimes it looks like he's, as rookies do, trying to get a little bit outside sometimes, where we talked about it during the broadcast on the radio. If he just sticks that foot in the ground and takes it upfield, he might be better served. But I'm anxious to see what you're talking about. Can with Reynolds or Gibbs or Van Knight, can somebody run the ball between the tackles in this game against Atlanta? I think that's going to be a question that we're all going to see answered together, but it's one that I think they kind of need because it is a big part of what they do. Now, there's other things they can do. There's short passes that become, in essence, run for Gibbs or things like that they can try to work in, but running's part of their character, and that offensive line is the face of the team.
Hey, Dan, one of the things that Dan Campbell was talking about today in terms of the injuries, and I think it almost felt like he was saying this in response to Amon-Ra St. Brown's toe injury. If it's close enough, do you play this week? If you play this week, does that mean you can't play on Thursday against Green Bay? Does it feel like you got to steal one here? Does it feel like you just, you got one on Sunday, you've got Amon-Ra dealing with this, you've got Decker out, most likely. We don't know that for sure, but if it's close enough, do you sit these guys on Sunday if it's that close to playing on Thursday in Green Bay?
Yeah, that's a good question, and one that I'm sure that they will go over with their doctors and try to figure out, can you do more damage to Amon-Ra's toe or whatever injury they're talking about at that point, or the thigh for Montgomery, who's currently listed as day-to-day. And that's something they're going to have to look at because this is a quick turnaround into a division game. That said, man, you don't want to fall to 1 and 2 because then you're fighting to claw back into this thing. And you don't want to lose your second consecutive home game. So I think, look, you have to make the decisions that are in the best interest of the player going forward. You don't want to risk anything that might be problematic and linger longer than it has to. But I'm certainly not looking at this like I'm taking it casually. I don't want to lose 2 home games in a row, and I don't want to, you head into Green Bay in an absolute must-win situation to avoid falling to 1 and 3. So taking Green Bay out of the division, I'm stacking this thing up as best I can to win this game against an Atlanta team that's 2-0 and feeling confident, and I'll worry about Green Bay when Green Bay comes around.
Part of that, too, about, second home game in a row. Jared Goff told you on Monday that was the best home atmosphere he had ever played in his life. I mean, you think about that. I mean, he's a California kid, played at Cal, and then, of course, L.A. What a hell of an atmosphere on Sunday, and you hope you could replicate that this week, too.
It was great, and it was just different. It just felt different. I mean, you just couldn't find an empty seat in there. And, I was talking to some people that were there. They said the concourses were just packed like they'd never seen them before. I know when I got there, the place that I normally park was – the garage wasn't full by any stretch, but there's an area where I usually park, and there's always a ton of spaces there. They were all gone. And I just think people were ready for this game, and it was loud, and the fans were outstanding, and it provides a major advantage for the Lions. But, I think they'll be back this week. Maybe it won't be the exact fervor that you have for a home opener, but I think it's going to be loud in there again. And we've talked about this before. It's incumbent upon Dan Campbell and the players to engage those fans, to give them something to cheer about. Credit Seattle. They, right off the bat, took the opening kickoff and marched down the field to score. That knocks the fans back a little bit, and the Lions had to get them going again. So, no doubt, look, Ford Field will show. I got no doubt about that. The Lions have to do their part to keep them in the game throughout the 60 minutes.
Hey, Dan, Atlanta's a team that you don't really know much about. You hear Kyle Pitts. You hear of, obviously, Bijan Robinson, who's had 2 great games as a rookie. But the Lions' defensive line, banged up as it is right now, it's not been great. It has not. They did get some pressures on Kansas City, but last week, Geno Smith just did whatever the heck he wanted. And Dan Campbell said it earlier this week. He said, I need my most reliable players to be reliable. Is he talking about Aiden Hutchinson? What's Aiden Hutchinson got to do in this game?
That's funny you mentioned that because we were kind of going, well, who's he talking about? And we don't know. We're just speculating. But look, if you're looking at that defense, to me, that's Aiden, that's Aleem McNeil, that's guys like Charles Harris that they're putting out there as starters that have to make plays and get that defensive line going. And whoever else ends up going out there, be it Romeo Okwara or Benito Jones or whoever they stick out there to play in this game, they do have to be better. They do have to disrupt the quarterback. You have 1 sack through 2 games, and that was a desperation play that Geno Smith, frankly, screwed up and never should have been caught back inside his own 5-yard line. Credit to Alex Anzalone, who looked like he was shot out of a cannon. But you know what? That's sack. Now, look, Aaron Glenn made the point last week. Doesn't always have to be a sack to be effective, and that's true. But they weren't real effective in this game against Seattle at all. Geno Smith looked way too comfortable. And that team's got too many talented wideouts that were all too often running with good separation from the closest defender to be able to function as a defense and get off the field. So they got to be better. I mean, I watched that game on Monday night with Pittsburgh. Man, that's what a pass rush looks like. Holy smoke. Those guys were amazing. Yeah. They just made Watson – miserable out there. I thought they looked great. So it's got to be better. I mean, let's face it. They're better. The guys behind them are better. And it just through 2 games, I agree. Thought it was pretty good against Kansas City, even without getting a sack. I thought they affected Mahomes much less so this week.
Is this a must-win game? And I say that joke. I say that joke. Everyone is.
That's your boy. That's your boy, Dan.
I say it tongue-in-cheek, but it feels like a freaking must-win.
You don't want to go 0-2
I mean, but look, I don't know. But here's what I do know is we've already gotten a sense of what this league can do to you emotionally. You come out of Kansas City, and, man, you're walking tall, feeling good. You're feeling like everything's headed in the right direction. They just beat the defending Super Bowl champions. And then you lose this game, and it's like, well, I don't know about the 4th down decisions. I don't know about this pass rush. I don't know about X, Y, or Z. Take your pick. But that's what this league does. It engages you in that way. That's why it's as popular as it is, because we have a week to chew on what just happened before we get to what happens next. And you do dissect it. You do probably beat it up. You do probably go over it and dive into it a little too deeply sometimes. But I know this, they got to be better. There's no doubt about that. Can't turn the ball over. Got to get them off the field more often. Is it a must-win? Man, it feels like a big game to me. It really does. And if we sit here at 1-2 next week, then we'll just talk about bouncing back and they got to beat the Packers. But 2-1 going into Green Bay and playing your first divisional game against a team that is going to be loaded up to beat you on a Thursday night is going to feel a lot better than 1-2. So I think we saw last year you can recover from a lot. They dug too deep a hole last year. But it does feel like second straight game at home. There's some momentum that they can really gain from this game and some momentum that's not going to be there for them if they lose this game. Is that a good way of saying is it a must-win?
Yeah,
I think it's pretty important.
I think so.
No, it definitely is. Dan, you're
talk myself into a circle.
Yeah, right.
Dan, you're absolutely correct about coaches loving to go with the run always, and that was Rex Ryan. I remember being next to him all the time, and it always seemed like he was in that headphones. Shotty run the ball. Shotty run the ball. Shotty run the ball. Talking about Brian Schottenheimer. So those coaches, they love to go with the run.
Yeah, and I mean, I know, growing up and then covering Joe Gibbs, one of his things in Washington was never give up on the run. Never give up on the run. And there might be times where you'd look at it and you're like, man, throw the ball. But some coaches, and I think most coaches probably believe you just don't give up on the run. You got to keep grinding on that thing. And sooner or later, you will get it. But when you give up on it and make yourself one-dimensional, that's when you're kind of giving the other team an advantage.
Dan, great stuff, man. Hey, just quickly, because a couple of people in the chat have asked for it. They love this. Are we getting Dan Miller calls of the game on Detroit Lions YouTube at all?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's not my department. There was a camera malfunction in week 1 in Kansas City. So I think it didn't happen there. But I do believe after the wins there will be camera in the booth shots of me jumping up and down
enough.
looking like an idiot.
I had to relay the message from the chat here. So
No, I got you.
All right, good
So
stuff,
yeah,
Dan.
let's hope we do have it next week because that'll mean they beat the Falcons.
Amen.
Amen. I'm an eternal optimist. Absolutely.
Thanks,
Dan. Appreciate it.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate you.
You got
Hey,
it. Check Dan out later today. Fox 2 News 5, 6, 10, and 11. And, of course, the voice of the Lions. Great content throughout the week as well on Fox 2. And we are happy to be on Fox2Detroit.com live from 2 to 4 each and every day.